This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Let's get right into the news with CEO Kris. Day 2, throwing more people under the bus now. As we said, he's been an informant since 2013. Started dealing with 9Trey around 2014 and 15. Was dealing with them, was recording them, wiretapping them, implicating everybody, and he implicates more people in this next testimony. And this next testimony, he's already thrown like what, New Carve, Mel Matrix, Shoddy, all under the bus. These guys were all going to go do time. And I'm not I'm not saying like this is good. I'm just saying, I'm making the point that this guy, the feds released him in 2013 after being arrested for like Chinese fentanyl stuff in 2013. Released him back as an informant and nailed more people. He got this whole 9Trey thing tied up. So Tekashi, not saying he was he's innocent or anything, he ratted too, but they were already going down. This was like icing on the cake. So in this, I'm going to be reading the next testimony. This one's against Aljermiah Mack, a.k.a. Nuke. He says, they ask him, Mr. Cruz, if you and the court can please turn to page 11 on the transcript. Mr. Mack says, watch everything from all angles. What did you understand from that to mean? He says, it means like watch my surroundings while I'm out. Make sure I'm watching everything around me. Like doing what? And he said, in the streets. Now, this is the prosecutor asking him everything. Then she asks, Mr. Mack says, just stay sucker free. What did you understand that to mean? This is all like wiretaps and him writing down his encounters with these guys. He says, like, stay away from clowns. Stay away from people that are moving funny towards me. Then they ask him in line 9. Mr. Mack says, you already know how to move. You know what I'm saying. What did you understand that to mean? He answers, like you already know how to move, like you already know how to maneuver. Question. When you said we're going to make it happen when you come home, you hit me all right. First of all, what does that phrase mean? He says, like, we're going to make money. Doing what? Selling drugs. Mr. Cruz, yesterday when you were talking about the subject areas of your conversation with Mr. Mack, one of them you mentioned was jewelry. Is that correct? He said, yes. Then she asked, and in what respect were you discussing jewelry with Mr. Mack during the calls? We were discussing jewelry like gold chains. Hold on one sec. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. I lost part of the transcript. Hold on. So in this part, he's asking about the chains that, and that's never good when they're asking about like what kind of jewelry you got and everything. He says like we were making money doing what? So they were discussing chains, right? And he says he wanted a gold chain for himself. And what was your response? CEO Kris says, I told him I would give it to him when he gets out of jail. So like, just some context here. This guy already owed him money, Aljermiah Mack, right? But he was going to give him a chain when he came out of jail, and they were going to get money together. That's a little too nice. I would be weary of somebody like that. It's like, you're just the connect, and you're hooking me up like this? Like, what's going on here, my G? You're trying to make me feel real comfortable. So then, it goes on to Mr. Mack, says on line 3, I'm coming for all the Cubans. What do you understand that to mean? CEO Kris says, it means he's coming out for all the Cuban link gold chains. Then they ask him when it goes on to line 19 to 20, I'm coming to grab a couple of these. I'm coming out to grab a thing. When I rolled up, you understand the phrase, I'm coming to grab it, mean. CEO Kris says, like, I'm coming. Like he is coming to grab it, like as far as like it could mean anything. It could mean a couple of things. What did you understand it to mean, Mr. Mack? Question. She asked that. What does it mean? Have you heard that phrase? He said yes. They always ask like a lot of crazy questions to these people. Like they make them answer everything 3-4 times as we've seen yesterday. Then they ask him, have you had conversation with Mr. Mack where he's used that phrase? He said, just right now. Question, have you had conversations with other members of 9Trey who use that phrase? I'm going to grab something. He answers yes. Question, And based on those conversations and based on the context of the call you were having with Mr. Mack on July 21st, 2016, what did you understand Mr. Mack to mean? Then he said, then they have like a discussion in court, like, can he talk about that? And they ask it again. What did you believe that he was communicating to you when he said that? CEO Kris says grabbed, as far as like rob, stealing from anybody. So he was coming out to grab all the Cubans. Take them. Question. Mr. Mack says, what's your ish? Is it the whole joint, the short one? You know, he's asking a lot of questions about his chain. CEO Kris says he was asking like if it was a whole kilogram of gold, the whole joint. They ask what in reference to the Cubans? He says, yes, the Cuban link chains. And then he goes on to say, CEO Kris offered his chain, and they ask, what chain? He says, the Cuban link chain I had. And they say, when you say on lines 24-25, I got the diamond AP, I don't need the Cuban no more. What's that reference to? CEO Kris says, I had bought a new diamond AP chain at the time. They ask him what an AP chain is. He says, what does AP stand for? He says, always paid. CEO Kris had always paid. What is that in reference to? CEO Kris says it's like a group I'm in, like a record label I'm in. This guy was this guy was an FBI informant and was starting a label and a group. I mean, come on. So then the question is record label, and he says, yeah. Question on page 8, after you say the diamond AP with the rope chain, I got that Mr. Mack says they got to come from all the Cubans. When Mr. They don't get it that he just wants to steal every Cuban link chain he can get his hands on. So he answers, when he gets out of jail, he wants to have the Cuban link on his neck, then and there. Then they go on to, argue about a bunch of stuff that was being said in court. You know how the defense and the prosecutors, they go back and forth like, objection, all that happens. Then they play an audio from a wiretap, and they question him. Mr. Cruz, starting at top of page 4, there is a reference to Roe. Who is that? CEO Kris says Roe was Roe Murder, another member of 9 Trey. Question, back in August 2016, do you know who Roe was? Answer from CEO Kris, yes, he was in jail, New York State Prison. Then they ask who Uno is. CEO Kris says Uno B is another member of 9 Trey. He's a high 020 in jail also. Question, when Mr. Mack says in response, yeah, Uno, that's my dog too. What did you understand that to mean? Answer from CEO Kris, Uno, that's my friend also. Question, in reference to Roe, when Mr. Mack said that's my son, did you understand that phrase to mean? Answer, like it's his friend. And then he also said, they asked about something that was said on the phone, and CEO Kris says, I should have drugs by next week, and I could help him out with their situation. He asked me in previous phone calls, because when Aljermiah Mack comes home, he wants to get some work and make some money, right? CEO Kris says, when he comes home, I'll be giving him the drugs. Question, Mr. Mack on line 21 says, I need an always paid piece. What does that understand? At this point, if Aljermiah Mack, aka Nuke, was asking me saying these things to me on the phone, I would be thinking like, yo, this guy not only wants to get my Cuban chain off of me, right? He wants my new AP piece as well. So then, question first, Mr. Cruz, lines 3 and 4. When you say I'm waiting on some stuff right now, what is that in reference to? CEO Kris says I was waiting on drugs. Question, what's the rest of the conversation about? CEO Kris says him asking me to give the Cuban that I was going to give him to his friend so he could have it right when he walks out of jail. Then question, can you please explain? CEO Kris says when he came out of jail, he came to my house in Manhattan and I gave him 500 grams. The 500 grams was wrapped in 100-gram pieces. Question, 500 grams of what? Answer, heroin, fentanyl mixed together. Jeez, so they're out here killing other people too. Question, what, if anything, was done regarding the $9,000 debt that Mr. Mack owed you from before he went to jail? He said he was going to pay him back through this transaction. And then they asked him in court, they asked, what's the normal rate you were charging at the time for 500 grams of heroin? He said $23.5. Question, what, if any, understanding did you reach with Mr. Mack about the payment of these 500 grams of heroin? He said that he could sell it and give me the money later on. CEO Kris said. Then they, in the question, were you having arguments? Did you discuss an argument with other members of 9Trey? He said, yes. Prior to coming to court, did you have an opportunity to hear the recorded phone conversation from 2016 wire investigation into where you had a conversation? He says, yes, I heard the wiretap. Okay, so at this point, they're jumping ahead. Aljermiah Mack, a.k.a. Nuke, deaded him on the 23.5, okay? Nobody respected CEO Kris here. Remember, Shadi ran off on him for $9,000 or something like that, or $6,500. CEO Kris kept dealing with his cousins. CEO Kris was having problems with Mel Matrix about that $6,500, right? Then Harv or something was trying to convince Mel Matrix that something was up with Shadi. He's not who he thought he was. Like, look at all the turmoil that's going on here. Think about it. If these guys are dealing with CEO Kris and he's letting them kind of push up over on him, right? Like, keep running off on money and he keeps dealing with them. Wouldn't you be suspicious? Like, why does he keep dealing with us? Well, he's setting you guys up. So then he starts talking to Ro Murder in jail, right? And he's complaining to Ro Murder that Aljermiah Mack, a.k.a. Nuke, ran off with the 23.5, right? I'm going to just summarize it because they're going to ask the same question a million times, okay? So they ask him questions like, why were you communicating with Ro Murder? CEO Kris says, because Ro Murder was higher up. He was the leader of the 9Trey in jail. Question, why does that matter? CEO Kris says he probably could talk to Aljermiah Mack and get him to pay me the money back. And this all leads up to Ro saying, like, hey, should we get him out of here? You know, like, should we say, well, first they talk about the money he owed. CEO Kris says he owed me money for the first $9,000, and then I gave him 500 grams of heroin for the fentanyl. First came out to jail, so I gave him a second chance. Like, he gave him another chance to make money with me. So he owed me like 20, 30 bands, something like that, okay? So then they talk about G-riding, okay? They're Ro Murders. They have a wiretap because, think about it. CEO Kris is talking to Ro Murder on from jail. There's a wiretap on that, right? So they're questioning. Ro Murder says to you, what's up? Do you want me to G-ride? They're asking what a G-ride is. CEO Kris says he means, do you want him to, like, G-ride, meaning like 9Trey, meaning like, do you want him kicked out of 9Trey? Then they ask him, what authority, if any, would Ro Murder have to do that? He said, well, CEO Kris said he could speak to higher-ups in jail and get him removed from 9Trey. Then the question is, what you say on line 11, just holla at him one more time. What does that mean? Answer from CEO Kris, like, I'm telling Ro Murder just to speak to him one more time, see if he can get the money. Question, in response to Mr. Martin asking if you want him G-ride, what did you say to that? Answer, that means I'm going to have, G-ride, but and then he said, no, I'll take care of myself. And they're like, what do you mean by that, CEO Kris? And CEO Kris says, that means I was going to have him taken from life. And then they're like, who was that in the sentence? And he's like, I was talking to Ro Murder. I was telling him that he needs to give me my money or I'm going to take him out. Then they question, why are you telling Mr. Martin to tell Mr. Mack that Mr. Martin needs the money if the debt is owed to you? CEO Kris says, because Aljermiah Mack would probably respect Ro Murder more than me, obviously, right? Then he goes on to talk about, like, all broken people that work with me, people I'm friends with. Like, a lot of people would have taken him out for me because they're asking, like, how could you get him removed? He's like, yo, I was the man. I was the connect. A lot of people would have done that for me. And then what, if any, reference does to 9Trey members? Answer, some 9Trey members and some regular people. All right, so boom. And that's about it. You know, they didn't really talk about anything else. They talked about Magoo, the leader in jail, telling new Magoo probably, you know, I don't know, you know. But anyways, that's what he was basically. This implicates Ro Murder, Aljermiah Mack, a.k.a. Nuke, a lot. Okay, who knows what comes tomorrow? We will see. But anyways, guys, This is Jordan Tower with JT News. I appreciate you guys so much. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I'll check you guys in the next one. Peace.